Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, "Tell me to keep working even though I'm on the brink of passing out?" Just you watch. A couple of friends of mine told me that I really should tell this story here. This happened in the summer of 2018. I had a summer job doing graveyard maintenance. So mowing the grass, cleaning gravestones, planting and watering flowers, and clipping hedges. We use a motorized hedge saw for efficiency and speed. I got the job since my parents know the boss, since they also work for her. This particular day it was a blistering 32 degrees in the sunlight. I was suffering more than my on-site manager. I went through probably 4 liters of water in 3 hours and I was still feeling nauseous. I asked my manager if I could take an extra break because of the heat. He denied and told me to go clip the hedges. I tried explaining to him that I struggle with the heat and that in 32 degrees I could not work efficiently thanks to this. He didn't care and just handed me the equipment. This included a shoulder cross strap, a helmet with earmuffs, steel-tipped boots, and the 8 kilograms machine. I was feeling that I wasn't going to last long in the sunlight. I was already dehydrated and was pushing myself too much. So I asked him if it couldn't wait until a less sunny day. He ignored me and told me to get to work. I just replied with a "lol, okay." I worked for probably a solid half hour before I blacked out. I woke up in an ambulance around an hour later, with my boss sitting next to me checking if I was all right. She told me that I had been found by a stranger between a couple of gravestones out cold, with a revving machine in my hands. I was in such bad shape that I was rushed to the hospital and put on intensive care. I couldn't move and had severe dehydration. So I was put on drips for 2 days in order for me to recover. I recovered slowly and was moved to cleaning duty inside. My manager was fired for endangering me and not heeding what I said. Next one is titled, "Too Fast? You Got It." I used to work for a national ISP as tech support. I was really good at my job, too, because I was pretty technical even before working there. I had a decent customer service voice, and I knew how to help people fix the problem, and how to educate them to fix it on their own without calling back in the future. I was good at everything except sales. I hated sales, and couldn't bring myself to try convincing people to get a phone line when they didn't want or need it. But sales wasn't, at the time, a huge part of our metrics, and since all of my other metrics were very good they mostly left me alone about it. I would get couching. I even got put on a call with someone to try and teach me sales, but nothing worked. Mainly because I didn't want it to. Then they tried coming at me from a different angle. Turned out I had the shortest average call time in the entire call center. I was too efficient. Even though my customer satisfaction was high and my rate of call back was low, my calls were too short. By talking to the customer and getting to know them better I had a better chance of selling them something. At first I ignored them since nothing was in writing, and I wasn't in trouble, but they kept bringing it up. I eventually decided to take them up on it. The next few months I talked to people. A lot. We discussed the weather, their favorite movies, their job, or anything else that came up in conversation. I once had an hour-long conversation with someone while we checked and triple-checked each and every single piece of equipment in his house. Fascinating guy, worked for Ma Bell back when it was first broken up. He just wanted someone to talk to and, hey, they said make my calls longer, right? My sales for that year went to 1, though I tried really hard for 0. Still, I was no longer the fastest person in the call center, but I might have been one of the friendliest. Next one is titled, "You Want Those Fries? Sure, no problem." I worked at a very popular burger fast food restaurant about 12 years ago as a young teenager, one of those restaurants known for being very fast and calculated with thin delicious fries. It was a slowish evening, one where there doesn't seem to be a lot of client but things are still moving non-stop at a good pace and there isn't any time to mess around. This is kind of a key element because it does appear like the restaurant is not busy for a client, but still the food is coming out fast, especially since the drive-through was busy. come in a couple in their mid or late 20s with an air of superiority you often see from clients ordering at cheap fast food. They come to me and I take their order, classic order of 2 trios. But then, before I can make 'em pay, the man points to my right and proclaims, "I want those fries." I look to my right and see 2 done batches hanging above the frying oil. There are 2 things wrong with his request. First, there is a lot of orders going around and fries are always served last because you want to serve them the freshest. These would be old by the time his burger is ready. Second, these fries should never hang above the oil and I don't quite remember why, but I know they wouldn't be as good that way. So I look back at him and try to tell him that he would get fresher fries than these, but I can't say a word about the subject. He doesn't let me talk and insists he wants those and none others. He wants fresh fries. Well, cue malicious compliance, I guess. I don't insist, and before making them pay, I go to the fries station, pick up the hanging fries, drop them in the pan thing, add salt, toss them around, pick up the paper fries holder, make 2 servings, put them in the far back of the rack where they stand upright and stay hot. I then turned around to my co-workers and say loudly, "The fries at the back are for my order." This was the usual procedure for no salt fries, and so I knew none of my co-workers would serve them accidentally. They were also perfectly positioned for my clients to watch them. I then go back to making them pay, making their drinks, taking another order while waiting for their burgers. As you can expect now, by the time their burger comes up in the sandwich drop, 1 or 2 more batches of fries had been fried and served while their 2 servings were safely waiting at the back, getting old for fast food fries. I pick up their burgers, put them next to their drinks and happily pick up those fries and put them right next to the burger. Of course, he said nothing. She didn't even look my way. He didn't look up to my face, but I could see he was red and upset. But he knew there was nothing he could say. Even my co-worker asked me later why I had served them those fries, and she couldn't help but laugh with me once they were gone when I told her the whole story. Next one is titled, "Call Her Back for That?" Okay. For a while, I worked customer service for a major life insurance company. I had a customer call in that had just received her check for payment on the policy she had on someone. Her husband, I think, but that's not important to this story. She called because the policy was for $100,000, and her check was something like $99,850, and she wanted to know why. However, she was one of those people that would ask a question, interrupt you while you were answering, and either ask it again in a different way, or go off on some tangent. She wasn't a particularly polite person, and I don't think it was merely because of someone's recent death. It had been a few months, and it didn't have a bereavement feel at all, just a rude person vibe. I fully felt that she was just a rude person. Eventually, I managed to give her the answer. We had subtracted a payment that was due that month and not yet paid to us from the payout, evening everything out in one transaction. She didn't really have a problem with that answer, but she was argumentative the entire call in general, and complaining how much of a pain it is to have to call in with all these questions, which were all but one irrelevant questions that she brought up when she wouldn't let me answer. But as I was trying to get there, she was also asking all kinds of questions about her policy, which she had in front of her. She went off on many topics, including a bunch of things not related to what we were doing. She asked about what's this type A policy and type B policy. Well, those were about options you could get on the policy when you first took it out, but she didn't get either one, so they were completely irrelevant to that, but I gave her quick answers as to what they were even though they didn't apply to her. This call took a solid hour to give a 3-minute answer, and she was rude and angry the whole way through. I was very happy when it was over. However, 2 days later my manager told me that he had reviewed the call for random quality control purposes, a real thing, and he noticed that when she asked about a relevant policy option she didn't have A, and a relevant policy option she didn't have B. I gave the answers backwards, explained B for A and A for B. He wanted me to call her back and give her the right answers. This was utterly pointless, as she already had her policy completed and closed. She wasn't looking to get a new one. This could not have affected her payout, anything whatsoever. But he was convinced we would somehow get sued or such if I didn't. Now, what makes this malicious compliance is that I knew that I could just email my manager a half hour later, say I did it, and she was happy to hear from me. I knew he wouldn't follow up because he constantly gave us stupid things to do and never followed up. But this woman was a handful, and I also knew she wouldn't want me to call. So I did as told and called her. I told her why I was calling and she snapped on me. Why would I possibly call her back about things that don't matter? I'm taking up her valuable time after she's already been paid. She doesn't deal with our company anymore, and here I am calling her unsolicited? You get the idea. I told her that my manager wanted me to make sure she had all the details correct because I made a mistake. And as hoped, she demanded to speak to my manager. She yelled at him for about 94 minutes by my clock about wasting her time. I'd like to be able to say that he learned a lesson and stopped giving us stupid tasks. He didn't, but for an hour and a half, he had a really rude woman scream at him over this one. I'd like to reiterate here that at no point did I feel that the woman was deep in her grieving process. I really wouldn't have wanted to add on to her troubles if she was. This was a solid 6 months after that person had died, which of course I know may be a lot for some, and not much for others, and every vibe I got was of a rude person, not a grieving one. For the purposes of this story, can we accept this to be true? I don't want to go off on a talk about angering someone upset about a death. Calling someone after a death is a part of working in life insurance. I'd like to think I was as polite to her as I could be during the entire process. Next one is titled, Beer Shake. You bet. As a teen I worked at a fast food ice cream place. It was about a block away from a biker bar, and once in a while one of these guys would wander down and say, "Hey, if I give you a beer, could you make me a beer shake with it?" I'll tell him I've made 'em before, they aren't very good. I'll pay you for it, I really want to try one. Making a shake with beer is difficult, it gets all foamy in the mixer. So I actually use only about a shot's worth of beer. I give him his shake and leftover beer, he gives me some cash and I ring him up while he happily sips his invention. As I give him his change he says, "Hey, you're a good guy for making this for me, thanks buddy." You bet. "Hey, could you do me a favor?" He hands me the shake minus a couple of sips. "Could you throw this away for me?" You bet. Next one is titled, Sub Shop Antics. While at a popular, national sub shop, 2 guys ahead of me were getting sandwiches, both sandwiches being purchased by the one who clearly looked like the boss. The younger one, non-boss gent, held the cheese from his sub while ordering. When the older gentleman had his turn to order, he asked if he could have the other guy's cheese added to his sandwich. The popular, national sub shop worker said that the cheese in this case would be extra. The purchasing boss guy restated that he was paying for both sandwiches and just wanted to transfer the other dude's cheese portion to his sub. The worker then restated that it would still be extra because the first guy never wanted the cheese. So, in desperation, the boss said, "Okay, just put the cheese in his sandwich, then move it to mine." The non-boss dude ordering that sandwich obliged and made a faint hand motion as to suggest, "Yes, do that, is my order." The sub-shop worker actually bothered to take the 5 or so triangle-shaped slabs of cheese, laid them momentarily on the first guy's sandwich, waited a second, then put them on the boss's sandwich, and then was fine with that and rang them up accordingly. Next one is titled, Come Help Us Come Up with Ideas on How to Promote People Having Affairs. Sure, if that's what you really want. Around 10 years ago I was an intern for a PR agency that was pitching to get Ashley Madison as a client, a company that, for a fee, allows you to get in touch others looking to have an affair. For those of you who don't know, we were all called into a conference room to pitch ideas. I asked to be excused from the pitch as my parents had split up a few years before due to an affair, and I didn't really feel this was appropriate for me. I was denied. I'm sat listening to all these ideas before they get to me. I asked how many people's parents were divorced, around a third put their hands up. I asked how many were due to cheating, most hands stayed up. I then pitched for those people to interview both of their parents and ask them how they felt the affairs had affected them, whether things ended amicably, how it affected their finances, did they confess or were they caught, etc. Then we could add these stories to Ashley Madison's blog. You could feel how deflated the room was afterwards with how depressing my idea was. I was then told I didn't have to be part of the meeting and the company didn't get the Ashley Madison contract. Next one is titled, Ordering from a Cafe Menu. I have an egg allergy, so I regularly navigate cafe breakfast menus, which seem to contain almost 95% egg dishes. I hate being that person, so try and find the easiest thing to remove the eggs from before ordering and never squabble about prices, substitutions, or just order the toast and Vegemite. On this particular morning, I was meeting a friend for a brekkie and while a bit hungover, I figured that a greasy bacon roll was in order. Hipster waiter in his 30s arrived to take our orders. Could I please have a bacon roll? No can do. That's not on the menu. Okay, sure. I'll rephrase my request. I'm allergic to egg, so what about a bacon and egg roll, with no egg? No can do. No changes to the menu allowed. We don't offer vegan options here. Vegan? I'm ordering a bacon roll. Nothing vegan about bacon. Yeah, it's not on the menu. What would you like instead? Can I have the bacon and egg roll, but the egg on the side? Yes, no worries. When the order arrived, I picked up the bacon roll and slid the offending egg to my friend. We had a good laugh and the waiter still couldn't work out why we were cracking up. Next one is titled, You Sure You Don't Need Proof of Warranty? I work in retail. We sell, among other things, kitchen appliances and some other electronics. People don't get a warranty document, the receipt serves as proof of warranty. An older couple comes to the register and buys a few things, including a coffee machine. I'm not even done scanning all the items when he barks, "How much?" I finish scanning and tell him. He holds out his card and I prepare the card reader. He kind of aggressively asks whether the coffee maker comes with warranty. I start saying, yes, it does, when he rudely and loudly interrupts me to ask how long the warranty is. He's done paying at this point, so I tell him the warranty is 2 years and hand him his receipt. He shakes his head. I start speaking, trying to tell him his receipt is proof of warranty, but he harshly interrupts me again, telling me he doesn't need his receipt. Like the patient but stupid saint I am, I start over once again trying to tell him he should really take his receipt. But once again I don't even get to the point where I could explain it's his proof of warranty, plus if it breaks not only does he not get repair or replacement, he can't even return it without the receipt because he once again barks at me to throw it away. So that's what I did. Smiled and wished him a nice day. Poor wife though. Next one is titled, Okay, you don't want to charge me for 2 discount soda cups, just because I'm using a refill cup instead? Okay. I had forgotten this situation, until my boyfriend brought home a 20 ounces soda. But years ago, I would go to a nearby mum and pop convenience store. Usually, I'd just get a refill for a 56 or 62 ounces large cup that we had picked up from another store. And usually they would charge us a refill price that was a little over what some other stores would charge us. But since they were a little closer, I figured it was about equal, and wouldn't have a problem paying. Now, this store would sometimes have good pricing on their regular sodas, to draw people in. And once, they offered a deal, 2 32 ounces sodas for slightly less than the large refill price that I usually paid. Now, I'll admit, I should have talked to the cashier before I filled my cup. I take full responsibility for that. But I filled my cup like normal. And knowing that my cup held, at most, the same amount that their cups held, I figured that they would be willing to save their cups, and just charge me the special price. They were adamant that I had to use their cups, or be charged the refill price for my soda. Well, I found it to be idiotic, but I said okay. Went to the counter, and grabbed 2 cups. Used my soda and filled both cups. But wait, there was still room, so I filled those cups to the top, and filled my cup with ice. I knew there would be an ice charge, but that's okay. The ice would stretch the soda out even further, and I wasn't expecting that when I went there. So bonus. Went up, paid for the 2 cups and my very large cup of ice, and walked out. They never said another word to me about my large cup of soda. Just so it's clear, I was willing to use my own cup. This would have saved them the 2 cups, which would be more profit to them. And the ice cups were always a set price, so it never mattered how much ice you had. It was the same whether you filled an empty cup entirely, or if you just had half a cup, you still paid their ice cup price. It was ironic that their 2 cups were able to hold more soda than my single monster cup, but I was happy to comply with their instructions. Honestly, I was tempted to get 2 more cups, but it would have been very difficult for me to walk home with the extra cups. Last one is titled, "Can't be asked to use a smaller bill?" Enjoy coins. So because a bunch of people were paying with $50s and have confused us with a bill breaker, we have run all out of $10s and $5s. And we are running low on $1s. Plenty of coins though. So my manager is running to one of the 5 banks that are around here to get the $50s and $20s broken down. And this one person, who I will call KF, for Kevin Fuckerson, walks in. "KF, I just want a cookie." Me, "Okay, that will be 74 cents. KF takes out his wallet and I see him digging through multiple $1s, $5s, and $10s. Oh great, another one of those. He takes out a $20. Me, "Sir, just to let you know we are out of $10s and $5s right now. Do you have a smaller bill?" KF, "No, this is all I got." BS, you dug through your wallet in front of me. Me, "Well, we are out of those. My manager is currently coming back from the bank." KF, "Sorry, all I got." Me, "Are you absolutely sure you want to pay using this? In order to give you proper change, I will be giving you mostly singles and coins." KF, "All I got." So I punched it in as I was doing it. KF, "Can you give me 3 $5s and?" Me, "I am sorry sir, this is all I have to give change." KF gets $6 ones, $7 in quarters, $4 in dimes, $2 in nickels, and the remaining 26 cents, with 1 dime, nickels, and pennies. KF, "Whoa. Do you not have any $5s? Me, "I am sorry sir, but this is all we have." So he pushes the coins in his pocket and leaves. I did warn him. Thanks for listening.